Saudi Aramco Electrical Inspector General Questionnaire and Answers Part 2. We have the same objectives as in Part 1. We have the outlines and we don't have the definition of terms. This is just a continuation of Part 1. And this is now the part 2, but additional, we have the answers from the part 1 questionnaire. Please watch part 1 of this tutorial for the definition of terms. As per SIP 1150, you may find important quality definition and reference to ISO 9000. And technical question and answer were all based on Saudi Aramco engineering standards and other relevant industry standards like the NFPA 70 and others. Hey guys, this is just a continuation of part 1. And this will be part 2 of our Saudi Aramco Electrical Inspector General Questionnaires and Answers. Our technical question will just continuation of the part 1. 51. Even when power is removed from the circuit, capacitors can store large amount of energy for a long period of time. They can discharge an arc if inadvertently shorted or grounded out. A. True. B. False. C. None. 52. The main lighting in a room having 2 entrances would probably be controlled by A. Pole switch, B. Intermediate switch, C. Two-way switch, and D. One-way switch. 53. A final circuit feeding socket outlets with a rated current of less than 20 amps and used by ordinary person for general use must always have A. Overcurrent protection, B. Overvoltage protection, C. Splash-proof protection, and D. Incorporate an industrial type socket outlet. 54. In transistor rooms containing equipment with exposed live parts, blank, marked with warning sign prohibiting unauthorized personnel from entering, A. Should be, B. Shall be, C. Should not be, and D. Shall not be. 55. A branch circuit supplies blank receptacles for lighting or appliances. A. Only one, B. Two or more, C. No, and D. None of the above. 56. Wires that run behind a penis wall are considered to be blank. A. Concealed, B. Hidden, C. Accessible, and D. Readily accessible. 57. A continuous load is expected to run at maximum current non-stop for blank hours. A. 3, B. 4, C. 5, and D. 6. 58. A string of indoor lights that is suspended between 2 points is called blank. A. Piston lighting, B. Rosette, C. Messenger wire, and D. Rim set. 59. An electrical installation constructed to prevent beating rain from interfering with the safe and successful operation of an apparatus is considered to be blank. A. Rain tight, B. Rainproof, C. Rain sealed, and D. Rain cast. 60. Conductors from service point to the service disconnecting point that are made up in the form of a cable are called A. Service point, B. Service drop, C. Service conductors, and D. Service lateral. 61. Lighting frequency terminated to a point of elevation and strike non-metallic as well as metallic objects with the same frequency. A. True, B. False, C. None. 62. When rigid metal conduit is threaded in the field, a standard die with blank shall be used. A. 3/4 and taper per foot, B. 1 inch taper per foot, C. 1/16 inch taper foot, and D. No taper. 63. The termination of the lighting stroke is unlikely to ignite combustible materials. A. True, B. False, C. None. 64. Nails or screw can fasten boxes to structural members of a building using bracket on the outside of the enclosure, or they can pass through the interior within blank of the back or ends of the enclosure. Screws are not permitted to pass through the box unless exposed threads in the box are protected using approved means to avoid abrasion of conductor insulation. A. 1/8 inch, B. 1/16 inch, C. 1/4 inch, and D. 1/2 inch. 65. Lightning protection is intended to protect the building itself, as well as the electrical on or inside the structure. A. True, B. False, C. None. 66. IMC shall be firmly fastened within blank of its outlet box, junction box, device box, fitting, cabinet, or other conduits termination. A. 12 inches, B. 18 inches, C. 2 feet, and D. 3 feet. 67. Non-magnetic metals are ferrous, meaning they do not contain any iron and cannot be magnetized. A. True, B. False, C. None. 68. Magnetic lines of force can cross each other and they are called flux lines. A. True, B. False, C. None. 69. Live parts of electrical equipment operating at blank or more shall be guarded against accidentally contact by approved enclosure, or by suitable permanent substantial partitions or screens arranged so that only qualified persons have access to the space within reach of the live parts. A. 20 volts, B. 3 volts, C. 50 volts, and D. 100 volts. 70. It is not the force of the magnetic field through a conductor that produces electricity. It is the relative motion of the field to the electrons within the conductor that produces the movement of electrons. A. True, B. False, C. None. 71. Handheld enclosures shall be designed and installed to withstand blank. A. 3,000 pounds, B. 6,000 pounds, C. All loads likely to be imposed, and D. 600 pounds. 72. People become injured and death occurs when voltage pushes electron through the human body, causing the heart to go into ventricular fibrillation. A. True, B. False, C. None. 73. When ENT is installed concealed in walls, floors, and ceiling of buildings exceeding 3 floors above grade, a thermal barrier shall be provided having a minimum blank minute penetrating as listed for fire-rated assemblies. A. 5, B. 10, C. 15, and D. 30. 74. An electrical arc glass can approach blank, which vaporizes metal parts and produces an explosive and deadly pressure wave. A. 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, B. 20,000 degrees Fahrenheit, C. 30,000 degrees Fahrenheit, D. 40 degrees Fahrenheit. 75. When installing raceway, underground and rigid non-metallic conduit, and other approved raceway, there shall be a minimum of blank cover. A. 6 inches, B. 12 inches, C. 18 inches, and D. 22 inches. 76. If a conductor carrying current is next to another conductor carrying current in the opposite direction, the electromagnetic field attempts to push the conductors apart. A. True, B. False, C. None. 77. All joints between length of ENT and between ENT and couplings, fittings, and boxes shall be made by blank, a qualified person, B. Set screw fittings, C. An approved method, and D. Exothermic welding. 78. A clamp-on arc ammeter has coil that is changing around the conductor and detects the riding and falling blank field being produced to the arc flow through the conductor. A. Current, B. Influx, C. Magnetic, and D. Voltage. 79. Raceways or cable trays containing electric conductors shall not contain any pipe, tube, or equal for steam, water, air, gas, drainage, or any service other than blank. A. As allowed by the authority having jurisdiction, B. Electrical, C. Pneumatic, D. As designed by the engineer. 80. A clamp-on arc ammeter has coil that is changing around the conductor and detects the riding and falling blank field being produced to the arc flow through the conductor. A. Current, B. Influx, C. Magnetic, and D. Voltage. 81. The measure is used to measure very high blank values, such as those found in cable installation or motor and transformer windings. A. Voltage, B. Current, and D. Resistance. 81. Underground raceway and cable assemblies entering a handle enclosure shall extend into the enclosure, but they are not required to be blank. A. Banded, B. Insulated, C. Mechanically connected to the handle enclosure, and D. Below minimum cover requirements after leaving the handle. 82. The number of conductors allowed in ENT shall not exceed the permitted by the percentage field specified in blank. A. Chapter 9, Table 1, B. Table 250.66, C. Table 310.16, and D. NEC 240.6. 83. The electric motor works on the principle of the attracting and repelling forces of blank fields. A. Current, B. Influx, C. Magnetic, and D. Voltage. 84. Raceways, cable trays, cable bus, auxiliary gutters, cable armor, boxes, cable sheeting, cabinets, elbows, coupling, fittings, supports, and support hardware shall be of material suitable for blank. A. Corrosive location, B. Wet locations, C. The environment in which they are to be installed, and D. None of these. 85. In the event that the NEC requires new products, construction, or materials that are not yet available at the time a new edition is adopted, the blank may permit the use of the products, construction, or materials that comply with the most recent previous edition of this National Electrical Code adopted by the jurisdiction. A. Electrical engineer, B. Master electrician, C. Authority having jurisdiction, and D. Permit holder. '86. The blank of a generator is forced to rotate while it is being subjected to the magnetic field of the stator. A. Winding, B. Rotor, C. Stator. 87. Equipment listed by a qualified electrical testing laboratory is not required to have the factory installed blank wiring inspected at the time of installation except to detect alteration or damage. A. External, B. Associated, C. Internal, and D. All of these. 88. A holding relay is primarily used for workers' convenience. A. True, B. False, C. None. 89. Type TC cable can be used blank. A. For power and lighting circuits, B. In cable trays and hazardous classified locations, C. In Class 1 control circuits, and D. All of these. 90. According to the electron current flow theory, electrons flow away from the negative terminal of the source through the circuit and load toward the positive terminal of the source. A. True, B. False, C. None. 91. For grounded systems, the electrical equipment and wiring and other electrically conductive materials likely to become energized are installed in a manner that creates a permanent low impedance circuit capable of safely carrying the maximum ground fault current likely to be imposed on it from where a ground fault may occur to the blank. A. Ground, B. Earth, C. Electrical supply source, and D. None of these. 92. According to the conventional current flow theory, electrons travels from positive to negative. A. True, B. False, C. None. 93. Concrete, brick or tile walls are considered as blank as it applies to working space requirements. A. Inconsequential, B. In the way, C. Grounded, and D. None of these. 94. The major advantage of a AC over DC is the ease of voltage regulation by the use of a transformer. A. True, B. False, C. None. 95. Electrical systems that are grounded shall be connected to earth in a manner that will blank. A. Limit voltage due to lightning, line surge, or unintentional contact with higher voltage lines. B. Stabilize the voltage to ground during normal operation. C. Facilitate overcurrent protection device operation in case of ground faults. And D. A and B. 96. The best conductors in order of their conductivity are gold, silver, copper, and aluminum. A. True, B. False, C. None. 97. The grounding conductor connection to the grounding electrode shall be made by blank. A. Listed lugs, B. Exothermic welding, C. Listed pressure connectors, and D. Any of these. 98. In a DC circuit, the only opposition to current flow is the physical resistance of the material. This opposition is called reactance and is measured in ohms. A. True, B. False, C. None. 99. Metallic boxes are required to be blank. A. Metric, B. Installed, C. Grounded, and D. All of these. 100. The wiring contained inside which of the following are required to be accessible? A. Outlet boxes, B. Junction boxes, C. Pull boxes, and D. All of these. End of questions. How do we find the qualification questions? Is it hard? Is it easy? Is it helpful? The answers can be found in my next blog. Please try to evaluate and answer the question raised. I'll make another set of questionnaires and I'll give the answer in this blog. See you in my next blog. These are the answers from part 1.